when you have complex trauma, your life is basically one fresh start after another, because your fresh starts never stay fresh or last. And it's purely environment, man. Like, this is the first time I have a chance at healing, and it's because I've removed completely from community and society to strip myself down raw, face my demons, and then come out and step out into the world when I'm ready and select who I allow in. You know, and I've been thinking about it, like, how many fucking fresh starts do we have, you know? Like, I'm going to use my story as an example. You know, I made a lot of bad decisions when I was younger. I was partying, I was doing drugs, I was carefree, you know, I was going to work on MDMA because that's how I was functioning. And I decided that's not the life for me, so I had a fresh start. I'll go to Sydney, the big smoke. Ended up sharing a house with an alcoholic, and getting in a relationship with someone who cheated on me. So that fucked me up. So then I went to Darwin for a fresh start, and that's when I had the immigration job. The job was so toxic, so corrupt. I had a bucket, a bin under my desk, typing bleh, because of the stress. And it was such a high level of corruption and dishonesty from our government. That's when I had my shift and stopped watching mainstream media, because I was seeing what the media was saying about, you know, life in detention, and then I was seeing what it was really like, and I was like, holy shit, you're not representing anything remotely close. So I was having a breakdown over that. So then I went to, you know, travel and ended up in China, where I had the biggest sensory overload, and I had my first actual fucking breakdown, and it brought out a level of dysregulation that, because I've always had rage outbursts, but the more heightened you get, the more intense and more frequent they become, and that's when it really started kicking in China. You know, I went there for a fresh start. I ended up having a breakdown. I was in a relationship with someone, and I am so ashamed, and I'm going to take this to my grave. The one and only time ever in a relationship, I slapped her. I slapped her in the face. And I've never been able to forgive myself. And I've had people tell me, you know, if I was in that situation, I would have punched her in the head. You don't need to hate yourself for it. But the thing is, I know who I am, and if I've been pushed so far past my limits that I'm not strong enough to walk away when someone's coming at me and I slap them, that I am not okay and I need to remove. So I did. So I go to Perth to go and start fresh, and I end up in a relationship with a therapist who was so fucked up. I have never been so... I lost a lot of friends in that relationship because of how isolated I became, and that was another fresh start. So then I'm like, okay, I'll go to the desert. And that's where I met Bonnie, and I was getting bullied out at the desert by the ops manager because he was convinced I was trying to fuck his girlfriend, when all it was we were actually having a close friendship, and he couldn't handle it. So I decided to leave, go to Wollongong. I'm going to rescue Bonnie, and I'm going to start this business, and all that started, and then Bonnie died. Around the same time, my father hung himself. So within about 6 weeks of Bonnie dying, my father hung himself, and the whole family blamed me for my father killing himself. And like, these have been all my fresh starts. Then I got into the relationship. I was engaged to a Muslim who had come over here as an asylum seeker with so much fucking trauma. Different trauma to us, you know. And that's where I got dragged with a car and all those kinds of things. So every fresh start has been trauma. I left getting dragged by a car and arrived to Daylesford, Victoria on my fucking knees, a mess. But I was a mess with ambition, determined to heal, planning a business. I was working, I was volunteering, I was studying, I was business planning. But I was also on a real serious, healing journey. And I went all in. I had 4 months with people who I trusted, I was vulnerable with. I gave everything. But that's the thing. When you give everything and go all in, you risk losing everything. And that's exactly what happened. Because I trusted people I shouldn't have. I gave them everything and they just took it. And that was my undoing. I've spent 3 years trying to get help, getting worse. Trusting people and getting taken advantage of and ripped off. Like, I still don't have a car. Because I got ripped off 11 grand. And no one cared to even do anything about it. So it's like, when you have trauma, you're like this massive doormat. Everywhere you go, turmoil follows you. And every fresh start, you're weaker. So if you keep going to the wrong environment, the wrong people, every fresh start to heal turns into more trauma, more sickness. And what does that look like? That's somatic symptoms flaring up, your mental health deteriorating, your self-worth, depression, your sleep, your anxiety, your panic, all your schemas, your self-sacrificing and your people-pleasing. It all just gets down, down, down with every fresh start. Because there's no point running away from one problem and going to the next fresh start if it's not what you need and you're just desperately clutching at straws. A fresh start needs to be in an environment that you are safe, with people who get you, see you, who you trust, who will hold your hand, who don't judge you, who show you that you are not alone. Now I want to read something to you. I got chat to help me make this, and I actually sent it to someone who's been really amazing to me. Being overlooked your whole life teaches you to disappear, to shrink, to silence the parts of you that were never crazy, just never safe. You start believing the lies, that you're too much, not enough, replaceable, forgettable. But when someone sees your soul beneath all that, you learn something you were never taught. You were never meant to stay small. Their time, their patience, their belief, it doesn't just heal you. It breaks every chain that was disguised as understanding. It shows you you're not here to be tolerated. You're here to be transformed. And the level of gratitude goes beyond words. It becomes a standard. Now, I live with a deep knowing that the good done for me is not mine to keep. It's mine to carry forward. So I choose to be the kind of human who shows up, who sees others, who invests, who heals. Because I know what it's like to be invisible. And I know what it feels like to finally be seen. And that really is the difference. All the doctor's appointments and clinics and therapies and pills and treatments won't do a single thing if you don't have safety. And what safety is for me is very different to the next person. You need to find what's safe for you. And once you do, I'm here to tell you, my friends, that's when the healing truly begins.